Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of the trailer for X-Men 97, the animated series coming to Disney Plus on March 20th. We're going to get 10 episodes of this, and it's going to pick up with the final season of the X-Men animated series throughout the 90s. It ended in February of 1997. I'm going to run through this trailer to explain what to expect from the series and highlight some details you might have missed, because there are some amazing Easter eggs in this. Starting with this framed photo of Scott and Jean in the opening seconds next to the TV. We've seen a lot of this in the animated series. It's actually the same photo that Wolverine looks at longingly in all of those memes, but he's scratched out Scott's face with his claws in one of the episodes. Meanwhile, to the right of the TV is a vintage Colossus figurine with a dumbbell that's from Toy Biz. It's still in the packaging. Toy Biz, by the way, was Ike Perlmutter's toy company that got the toy rights for the 1989 Batman movie, made a ton of money, and then leveraged those profits into buying Marvel in the early 90s, setting us into the timeline we are now in. Meanwhile, on top of the 90s TV set is this VHS tape that's labeled X-Men DOFP for Days of Future Past. We're actually currently breaking down the 2014 film version of Days of Future Past. The comic storyline from Chris Claremont was actually first adapted for the animated series. We saw that in episodes of that show, which is why we gotta go back and watch it all. Really, by pushing in on the TV set here, they're playing hard into the nostalgia of all Marvel nerds of a certain age who spent their Saturday mornings quietly creeping up to TV sets, just like we are in this shot, with the biggest bowl of Rice Krispie treat cereal that we could manage. It's not just Rice Krispies, it's Rice Krispie treats. We need the marshmallow flavor baked into every bite. But on the TV here is the final scene from the finale episode of the X-Men animated series, season 5, episode 10, an episode titled Graduation Day. Professor X is dying after Henry Peter Gyrich hit him with an energy disruptor, forcing Professor X to leave Earth with Lilandra to the Shi'ar Empire seeking a cure. It's a very touching moment because the X-Men are able to use this medical emergency to halt Magneto's invasion from Genosha to take over the planet. And for this goodbye, Magneto, for this moment at least, is standing alongside the X-Men. And we hear the voice of Jean Grey from that episode echoing, "The future is in our hands now. And then from this, we transition into the static and then to the Marvel, not Studios, animation logo. This is a new logo. And very, very briefly, before the newspaper goes across the screen, you can see Callisto, leader of the Morlocks, pulling Leech, also a Morlock, out of the light, passing a cop car next to this electronics store. Their design looks exactly like it did in the animated series. And yes, we did see a version of Leech in The Last Stand. We see the abandoned hip skate party building. Discarded skates and graffiti are everywhere, but parked in front of the building is an ominously pristine, fancy black car. But then we get this. Boom, you're looking for this, an Easter egg. The Daily Bugle newspaper with an inside scoop headline about a mutant fashion show. Is this really front page news, J. Jonah? In the upper corner are headlines reading, "Is Spider-Man a mutant?" And Spider-Man isn't hyphenated, by the way, because no way J. Jonah is gonna waste the ink on proper punctuation here. Also, Hellfire Gala, text by Eddie Brock, photos by Peter Parker. So yeah, in this animated reality, both Peter Parker and Eddie Brock exist alongside the X-Men. This was the case in the X-Men and Spider-Man animated series on Fox Kids in the 90s. There was a 2-part crossover on the animated Spider-Man series where Peter's spider mutation is running wild and he seeks the help from Professor X. This is back when Marvel Entertainment was going through bankruptcy and stayed alive by Avi Arad and others licensing out its IP to different film and TV studios, and it wasn't as big of a deal if these animated shows referenced each other and implied to be connected and part of a shared universe. And Spider-Man would also have a small cameo in the animated X-Men series during the Phoenix Saga storyline. But here, Peter Parker and Eddie Brock's names just seem to carry greater weight because it's on Disney Plus. Holy shit. I don't know if they will show up in this series, probably not, but it could just be implied to be part of the same universe as Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which will show Peter at a younger age, probably before he works for the Bugle. But yeah, Hellfire Gala, reference to the Hellfire Club of Sebastian Shaw. And it was long debated by Marvel fans if Spider-Man was considered a mutant. He's not a mutant, but Peter is considered a mutate, which means his normal DNA is changed by some external force. And I just love how the newspaper layout design is the same one that we've seen the Daily Bugle have in live action titles, starting with the Sam Raimi movies, with the red masthead, the Bugle logo right in between the words, and the little windows for other headlines at the top for the best Easter eggs. Now, in this crowd of protesters is a sign that says FOH inside a half-red, half-blue bird. That is the logo for the Friends of Humanity, which is an anti-mutant hate group formed by Graydon Creed Jr., son of Sabretooth Victor Creed and Mystique. They would dress up as mutants and wreak havoc so that mutants would get the blame. False flag operations. Being in a relationship is super rewarding, and one of the things that makes relationships rewarding is doing stuff together and getting to know one another. Hurd is an app that does exactly that. Hurd is the ultimate relationship companion. It offers offers a ton of interactive games, challenges, and tools designed to foster communication, trust, and intimacy. Wink, wink, wink. The Couples app Paired empowers couples to unlock their relationship potential, strengthen their bond, and create lasting memories together. Paired sends you a notification every day with a question, a quiz, or a game to play with your partner. You cannot see their response until you've both answered, which is fun. Nerve-wracking, but in a fun way. You also have full access to the Paired library and can choose a topic that feels right for you two that day, whether that's money, parenting, sex, you name it. I like the You or Me games Daredevil edition. Play that game and you get real answers. It's super fun, but it's also super real. Paired is great for all stages of a relationship, whether you're decades deep or just getting to know one another. Click the link below to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off Paired Premium so you can maintain and deepen your connection with your partner today. We see a giant hand of a Sentinel robot, and then we see Magneto in front of the UN. The framing actually reminds me of the shot of Loki in the What If series when he appeared in front of the UN to take over the planet. That was season 1, episode 3. But I think this is Magneto on trial in front of the World Court from Uncanny X-Men number 200, perhaps? Now, I'm assuming this shot of Charles and Magneto statues side by side could be in Genosha. We see this in a few different shots of the trailer, so I'm wondering if this could be the new X-Men base of operations as they moved on from the X-Mansion. We get quick flashes of powers of each of the X-Men. We see Remy LeBeau Gambit. We see Storm stepping in with each step crackling with electricity. Wolverine's claws snickting. We see Cyclops' optic blast eyepiece with the ruby lens giving off a glare. And there is Morph on this show. Now, a note about Morph coming from the animators on this show. This is going to be a lighter take on the character who in this show's non-binary and has an interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine. And they talk about how the character's past with Mr. Sinister, this show's villain, is going to come into play. Now, a big part of season 1 of the animated series was that Morph was left behind on a mission and assumed dead. Wolverine blamed himself for this, for not protecting Morph, but also Scott, since Scott was in charge of the mission. It led to even more tension between the two. Morph and Wolverine were besties before this happened. Later, it's revealed that Morph didn't actually die, and Mr. Sinister poisoned his mind against the X-Men and used him against them. And that may still be the case on this show. We see Morph in the neutral state, which is when they look like a weird white noseless blob. But then at the club, Morph's in their more familiar human-looking Morph state with the brown hair. This is how Morph chooses to appear most of the time around the other people / non-X-Men or non-mutants. Now, a quick shot of pregnant Jean Grey. This has to be Nate Grey in there, I'm assuming, but it could also be Rachel Summers. For what it's worth, Rachel Summers was the central figure to the Days of Future Past storyline in the comics, and the writer of the Days of Future Past movie planned on it being Rachel Summers, not Kitty Pryde initially, to be the one to blast Logan's mind in the past. The craziest shot of this trailer, Gambit piggybacking on Wolverine. Wolverine doesn't even flinch, doesn't even stumble in the least, and Remy charges up Wolverine's adamantium claws. So I'm wondering, what sound beyond snicked would this make? Would it be like a Cajun snicked? Snicked. How do you say snicked in a Cajun accent? I'm not gonna do accents. Now, the voice cast of this show is going to be Ray Chase as Cyclops, Jennifer Hale as Jean Grey, Allison Sheely Smith as Storm, Cal Dodd as Wolverine, JP Carlack as Morph, Lenore Zahn as Rogue, George Buza as Beast, AJ Locasio as Gambit, Holly Chow as Jubilee, Isaac Robinson Smith as Bishop, Matthew Watterson as Magneto, Adrian Hoff as Nightcrawler. Also, Theo James, who you might know from the 2nd season of White Lotus, is voicing an unknown character in the series. Now, in the trailer, we hear Cyclops saying,
"To me, my X-Men,"
which is all any of the fans have ever wanted to hear again for so long. Rogue flies in unceremoniously carrying Bishop and Beast, and then the others flock in and take their positions. And we learn that Charles left everything to Magneto, or is that just something he's saying? We see Jean as the referee, I guess because she's too pregnant to play basketball or whatever they were all playing right before Magneto dropped that bomb. This is a reference to season 3, episode 1 of the animated series where Jubilee, Gambit, and Wolverine are playing basketball with Logan and Remy being shirtless, which itself is a reference to the X-Men comic number 4 from 1991, where the same sequence was drawn out by Jim Lee. And this is just as obvious design, but I love that Bishop here has the M on his face, as he always does. This is something that I'm really, really glad that they include in X-Men Days of Future Past from 2014. And by the way, our breakdown of that movie is coming to the channel this weekend, so be sure to subscribe to New Rockstars. We're definitely gonna be breaking down X-Men 97 on this channel. I'm so excited for this show to come back. Support New Rockstars by grabbing one of these shirts, our Deadpool era store inspired shirt, and grab one of these at nerdriot.shop. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.